Welcome back, and thank you for staying with KTN Prime. My guests are still here with me. Wilson Sossion, former nominated member of parliament, and Willis Otieno, an advocate of the High Court. Willis, I know I'll give you a chance to respond, but even as you respond, teachers signed an MOU with the Affordable Housing Board to get 20% of the affordable housing units. Harambee Stars were equally promised just a few weeks ago. Not forgetting police equally were promised 20% of the affordable housing units. And people are asking, so this is, let's say, 40% gone. Different sectors are contributing. Do you feel like the program is turning into a political carrot?
Right there, it's purely politics. Because if all Kenyans are contributing, where is the legal framework upon which these MOUs are being signed to set aside certain percentages to specific groups? That's discriminatory. What is so special about one group and not the other? If it's a question of all Kenyans are contributing, all Kenyans should have a fair chance to get those affordable housing. But let me say this, that affordable housing thing is even nonsense. It is built on public land, funded by public money, then you sell it to the public. Who builds a house on his own land, using his own money, then he buys it? He should be telling us those affordable houses should be given for free. I have a question from a teacher from Kelvin Macharia of Washira Maina from Nyeri, who has told me to tell my friend Sossion that in his pay slip, he received 268 Kenya shillings. And he wants teacher Sossion, who is also a teacher, to explain to him how this qualifies as an economic advancement. If not, I'm finishing. If not purely political grandstanding. You declare we've increased your salaries by 2 billion, but teacher Kevin Washira Maina has received 268 Kenya shillings in his pay slip. He's here in Nyeri.
You know what
then,
we're talking about.
when Mheshimiwa says, you know the teachers.
I'll give you time to respond.
When Mheshimiwa says that it is William Ruto's right to go and politic with teachers in the State House, legacy politics. You see, these are the legacy politicians I keep talking about every day. Because participation by public servants in political activities is prohibited in our laws. They cannot engage in partisan political activities. But to a legacy politician, it is favorable to abuse the law to advance his own selfish interest. Because a teacher is serving all Kenyans irrespective of their political affiliations. When you try to turn a teacher publicly to take partisan political positions, what happens when he goes back to school and he meets a kid whose parent is not supporting that political cause? So there's a reason why the civil service was shielded from playing a role in active politics. I have a message for you, Honorable Sossion. I have a message to William Ruto. You cannot turn our teachers to become political pawns. The laws of this republic don't allow it. In as much as legacy politicians, you will wish it happens. Please, even if you don't respect State House, but at least respect the next generation, the ones who these teachers are spending time with every day. We cannot be a country of political convenience. That today it is convenient to turn the civil service to be political, then tomorrow you end up having a totally wasted civil service, including teaching profession. And then you start complaining, why is our country not producing? But don't worry, the time is up. Legacy politics, your time is up.
I think, Willis, I need to teach him some civic education. That the freedom of many countries in Africa was achieved through professionals, particularly trade unions and teachers. And here in Kenya, teachers participated very strongly in the agitation for freedom and the establishment and stabilization of the first government. The struggle for good governance across Africa can be traced back to teachers and their unions and other workers. And Article 38 of the Constitution of Kenya grants every citizen political rights. It doesn't limit. Even if you're a civil servant, you are not limited from exercising your political rights. I also wish to school Willis Otieno. Remember the elections of 2002 that swept Kibaki to presidency. It was started by teachers at Nyeri DEB school after striking an agreement with Kenya National Union of Teachers. I was present myself, and I was the secretary of the Teachers Lobby Group for Kibaki in 2002, and we installed Kibaki in State House, and that is how we got free education. And this happens all over the world. And unionists have affiliated even with labor unions, labor parties, like in the UK. In the UK, nobody from the Conservative can address labor union meetings and labor union conferences. And here in Kenya, it is within the rights of unions to affiliate with the political parties that speak to their issues. And one such person is President William Ruto. This one president who has addressed the ILO conference in Geneva. There is no other president in Kenya who has engaged unions extensively and intensely like President William Ruto, and has addressed the ILO conference, the global conference in Geneva. And so teachers enjoying political rights of engagement with the president is within the right. But let me say, the meeting that was conducted on Saturday was not political. It was a high-level policy meeting, which is codified within ILO, UNESCO provisions, which grants teachers political and their democratic rights. Are you suggesting that the teachers of Kenya are not supposed to enjoy their political and democratic rights insofar as advancing the issues affecting their profession and their work, including, if indeed it was 268, assuming it is true, that is the increment, and if the reduction of the CBA period is brought forward to 2 years, then the earnings are going to double. And that is what the teacher leaders were engaging, and they're satisfied. They can count the issues that they were able to negotiate. Let me come to housing. The housing, there was an agreement signed, an MOU. That is a benefit to the teachers, and that codifies and protects 20% of the houses in all the 170 sites that are where constructions are being undertaken across the country. And let me tell you, we are headed into a future where a worker entering service, whether teaching, whether the police, whether in the public service, where a young worker entering service will be able to benefit and get a house at the start of teaching. This is the beginning.
How do you justify them getting 20%, yet they contribute 13%?
We have been to many jurisdictions. I was in Bahamas, and all teachers, when they're being employed, one of the benefits is a house. And so this is a good beginning. The absorption of the houses being built are now being directed towards the purchasers and the users. And one big constituency is teachers. And if teachers have chosen freely, they have negotiated freely, and they have agreed on 20% of the housing, and that has been granted, there's an MOU, it is legal, that agreement is binding, it protects them, then they are going to benefit. And by the way, housing is not an event. We are not building housing in 170 sites across the country, then we stop. It is a continuous thing. It is sustainable. It is structured in a manner that is sustainable. By the way, session of paper number 10 of Tom Boyer of 1965 delivered NHIF, it delivered NSSF, and there was Housing Act of 1967, which was not implemented. It was not implemented. So this housing business has been there right from independence. And Kibaki tried to implement, it never worked. Uhuru tried to implement, it never worked. It's only that President Ruto has been very bold and has navigated the whole issue. It became a conversation during election. It was an item on which the president was elected. And if you are elected on a given pillar or on a given manifesto, then you must deliver it. And I think it is being delivered. Those who don't want to see success and credit get to the president are very busy trying to poke holes like what Willis is doing. It is his political right to criticize in whichever manner, but I think Kenyans are able to judge. Workers are also able to judge. And if teachers went to State House and negotiated freely, without being coerced, and they got what they wanted, so that is it. It is their own benefit. Okay. Harambee Stars players when they were engaging the president, they loudly requested the president to be considered in affordable housing. It is the players who requested, and the president acceded to that. So right now, the politics of housing is that Kenyans are looking for avenues of acquiring the houses, the affordable houses. And affordable housing is a global practice in terms of human settlement and shelter. And doing this in Kenya, in the phenomenal ways being done, I think Willis and group, you should just throw in the towel and let us see how to make these programs work better. In fact, if we are talking about some Kenyans being excluded, let them come out, because
we need to move on,
the process of accessing these houses is provided. To me, I celebrate teachers for achieving so much, including even housing.
The problem is
and by the way, teachers have political rights.
It talks so much, but doesn't take time to contextualize the discussion that we're having.
Expound.
When I say that, I mean this. We are asking the question when it started. When these teachers went to State House, what is the take-home to the public good? He's now going on somebody addressing ILO meetings. Who cares? He can address as much as he wants. If you address ILO, but the quality of that address is not being felt by... Let me finish.
Let him finish, and then you can respond.
No, let me finish. You can address.
You know,
I mean, ILO... No, just listen. ILO sits every year, by the way. They sit every day. It is the quality of the discussion and its impact on the people that matters. You can as well address ILO from January 1st to December 30th, and yet you don't improve on the welfare of the worker, then you're wasting everybody's time plus your own time. So we should be focusing on not addressing ILO, but focus on these are the issues affecting my workers. Let's attend to them. When we say that teachers and civil servants are not supposed to play partisan politics, it is not Willis Otieno saying it. It is our laws saying it. But Sosion comfortably sits here and says they have Article 38 rights. I am an advocate. Yeah. I understand Article 38 better than you do. And I can tell you, Article 38 even gives the right to form a union, gives the right to vote. But that Article 38 also has limitations, which are found as Article 24 of the Constitution. So that is why when there are limitations prohibiting a teacher or a civil servant from engaging in partisan political activities, it's as a foundation. You cannot just say, even like, for example, the army, they start running. Next time you'll call the army to State House and tell them you have Article 38 rights. Come, we go and say two-term. There's a reason why they can't do that. But Honorable Sosion will not want us to have those kind of discussions. He wants to throw words. And by the way, if William Ruto is doing well as you think, we should not be here. The sweetness of a pudding is in the eating. Let the people say it. I'm interacting with Kenyans, I'm interacting with the teachers who are telling us the challenges they are facing in the economy. And the problems of this country is the economy. It is the economy, stupid. Nothing else. And Kenyans are crying because of the economic pain inflicted by the failed policies of Kenya Kwanza and William Ruto. They have failed. Raila Odinga once said that even if you give William Ruto 1,000 years, he will not change. Nothing will improve here. He waited for 1,000 years, didn't he? He said, I cannot wait anymore. They shook hands. It is still failing. Nothing has changed. That was words from a senior.
Okay.
But let me say this as I conclude. You know, when you say that teachers have a right to negotiate and they contributed to political change, at that point he talks about now unions. The difference between the union and the teacher. If as a union you take a particular political position, you can say it as a union and you contextualize it. You write it down as a union. It's allowed. But we are talking of a classroom teacher. He is a unionist, he knows better. There are certain cadre of unionists who are exempted from classroom activities. In fact, it's as good as for the period they're serving as unionists, they are removed from active civil service to be now labor officials. Those ones can do their union activities and lobby political parties. But my issue is when you bring a classroom teacher, like the 10,000 who are brought here, and you're now using them as political pawns. It will be a shame when that generation does not respond to what the Gen Zs have done to them. In fact, if you ask me, this mismanagement of the education sector in our times is a response to the success of Mwai Kibaki's free education, because that gave birth to an enlightened population that was able to hold legacy politicians to account, and they shook that system. I only urge them, the job must be finished at some point.
Okay.
It must finish it by making sure that when the time comes to vote, we forget all of them.
1 minute final submission so that we can continue. Do you want to respond or should we continue?
No, I'll respond. You know,
1
it's
minute,
free.
please. Okay.
You know, it's free to poke holes and talk of all manner of things and restrictions given to teachers. And I think I'm more qualified to talk about the political and democratic rights of teachers, including engaging in political activism in their country. It does happen, and teachers do this all over the world, even in classrooms, and to align with political groupings and parties that speak to their aspiration. There is fundamentally nothing wrong with that. If it doesn't suit your interest, then you are free to express as such, but you are not going to stop teachers from exercising their political rights and their democratic rights and in participating in activities and events of the day. The teachers are engines of development. And even other civil servants, they must also enjoy their political rights. You don't try and interpret Article 38 to suit your philosophy. It will have no place. Everyone has political rights by the end of the day. And so the code of ethics and the rest will apply strictly while you're undertaking your duties within the school. But when you are engaging in other organized fora where you can argue in whatever manner, then you enjoy your political rights. So
okay.
I think by and large, Willis is just bitter about certain successes that does not benefit him politically.
Okay.
And I don't think it makes sense for me to argue any further. Let Kenyans decide on whatever they are seeing, on whatever issues, because you see, data does not lie. And one sector that had been messed up was education, and a lot has gone into recalibrate the curriculum.
So you're saying the education sector is working right now?
It is working right now, it's working better. I'm saying so as an educator. It is working better now. We have more teachers. The CBC curriculum, which was disorganized, has now been organized. It's now far much clearer. The grade 7, 8, and 9, who were supposed to go and cause congestion in secondary schools, are now domiciled within a comprehensive school model, which is closer to the households and which makes education accessible. The only thing that we need to do as work in progress is to work on quality. I think there's a lot of sanity and order within the education sector. And the president has encouraged extensive consultation in every policy. We don't want to encourage the brinkmanship, dictatorship style that we've had.
All right, let's move on to other issues.
And that is why you remember when there was this debate of even mathematics, whether the other pathways of humanities and sports could even take some mathematics, and this was eventually agreed that we must have some pathway of mathematics that is suitable to those particular pathways. So I think education is experiencing strong democratic contribution from the professionals and the citizens of this country. And it is work in progress.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the upcoming by-election slated for November 27th. Willis, from where you sit, what is the stake for both sides? Government and opposition?
As it stands, the broad-based will want to do everything possible to see that they save face. But their fate with the Kenyan people is sealed. Let them go and pour money. It's going to be harvest time for the people of Kenya to eat the legacy politicians' money. But they'll make their choice on the ballot. But as we are not interested in these legacy politicians' antics, because that is what has, in a way, diluted the quality of our public life. Because when elections come, you will not even see them discussing issues that are germane to the people of Kenya. You saw even the first clip that you posted, what William Ruto and Gachagua were saying. Legacy politics, what's the difference? Rooftop campaigns, what are they saying is just personality attacks, not issues Nobody is discussing, this is the issue affecting our people. These are our economic challenges. This is what we need to do to improve our economy. That's the legacy type of politics. Doesn't help anybody.
Okay. You take the
Now,
by-elections?
the by-elections will have 6 parliamentary seats to fill, and I think about 16 civic seats and 1 Senate seat to fill. And this is a democratic right granted to the people of Kenya who will be affected by the elections to exercise their democratic rights. And to me, I think it's a big test for the IBC, which has just been constituted to midwife this process. And to me, I don't want to undermine the democratic right and thinking of the people of Kenya. They will be able to choose their elected leaders from those who will avail themselves through the different political parties and, of course, through the manifestos of the different parties will play a central role. And I think Willis has the biggest homework to go and rebrand his Safina party and even try to win even 1 civic seat somewhere in the country. But I can tell you the broad-based government has a big agenda and is communicating to the people. People are understanding. Okay. Don't underestimate Kenyans. Under Vision 2030 of President Mwai Kibaki, the political pillar, we are supposed to have issue-based politics by 2030. And I think we have achieved it largely and gradually. So the by-elections, I want to believe, will be about issues.
Okay.
Let the by-election be issue-based.
Okay.
And let whoever be elected on merit and based on issues. Period.
So on 28th of November, we should congregate so that we can see what the outcome is.
But the broad base will take many seats.
Let's wait and see.
Malava,
you see, what I tell you.
Yeah.
You see,
don't call us legacy politicians.
You're legacy politicians. These legacy politicians, their problem is this. To them, when a by-election comes, it's a contest. And we will win, you will lose. That's legacy politics. As a Safina party, we believe the winner of any electoral process should be the people. That we are not competing to win, that we won, we've defeated you. No. What's defeat? What's victory? Victory is when the quality of lives of the Kenyan people is improved.
Okay.
And that should be our primary focus. That on that day when you have these by-elections, what is on the ballot? Is it UDA on the ballot or shift share on the ballot? Quality healthcare. Is it education that is functional that's on the ballot, or it is UDA or ODM that's on the ballot? Is it school access that's on the ballot? So for legacy politicians, let me finish. For legacy politicians,
I don't know whether he was listening.
For legacy politicians, to them, we are UDA is going to win. Win for what? To what end? Even if they won, to what end? If it is the same UDA that I know.
All right, gentlemen, we cannot continue with this conversation. Our time is up, but thank you so much for making time. And for your input, Wilson Sosion, former nominated Member of Parliament, and Willis Otieno, advocate and deputy party leader at Safina Party. That's how we wrap things up. Thank you so much for your company. I am Ashley Mazuri on behalf of Jesse Rogers, Marisha Witty, and the entire team. Have a good night.